Hello, good morning. Grand rising. How's it going? I have Angelica texting me. Hi, Angelica. Ping, ping. Just lighting my smudge. How is everyone? Hi, Stephanie. Good morning, darling. Hi, Lori. Good morning. You're up early, Lori. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Michelle. How's it going? Michelle, your email made my morning, hey. I'm just saying. Talking to Michelle Brooks. That was such a cool email you sent me. Let me know if you don't mind me mentioning what you mentioned in your email, because that was so cool, hey. Hi, Adriana. You are so welcome. How are you feeling after your clearing? Feeling any better? Feeling any changes? Hi, Ariel. Oh, thank you, Michelle. So I did a clearing on Michelle's daughter not too long ago, just to kind of see what's going on. And her daughter had a very interesting birthmark. And we were quite curious about this. We even checked it out in her Akashic record. We're like, ooh, interesting birthmarks, especially when they're from like a past life injury. But Michelle messaged me this morning. She said that the birthmark is gone after the clearing, which is really interesting because, when we send healing down timelines, when we're clearing these past life resonances, you never really know what's going to happen because those events are very like huge in our whole, soul history. So to send healing to an event that was so, traumatic, and to see a result, to even notice that a birthmark has disappeared, that is so cool. Like, really, that is one of the coolest things I've heard from a clearing yet, I must say. So thank you for sharing that with me. Adriana says it was from my mom and under the changes. Oh, yes. She feels so much better and is awake. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome, Adriana. I'm so glad to hear that. Hi, Roya. Nice to see you. My daughter also feels better after your clearing. My love, thanks. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Roya. That's wonderful news. Please keep me updated on how she's doing, eh? I am very, very excited to hear that people are feeling well after their clearings. I had somebody message me the other day and he told me that he feels lighter and more himself again, and he was so grateful. And these are the kind of messages that make my whole day. Like, if you guys send me feedback, even if it's not good feedback, I'm like, all right, come on, at least I know what's happened, at least I know what's going on with these clearings. But to have positive feedback, that is the one thing that we look forward to the most. So thank you very much. Hi, Chantal. Nice to see you, darling. Hi, Dale. Good morning. Did you have a good birthday? What are you guys up to? Anybody have anything interesting going on? I want to send huge, huge hugs to Tami LoPresti. Tami was supposed to join me today, and unfortunately, there was a tragedy in her family. And so we just want to send all the love and hugs to Tami and her family today. And I look forward to speaking with Tami in 2 weeks from now. Do we send feedback in reply to the email? Yes, that would be great, Sabrina. Thank you. Yeah, any feedback anywhere is great because we just want to hear how you guys are doing. Like, that is why we do this work. Obviously, we have bills to pay, but I am not, as you guys can tell, I'm not doing this for the money. This is pure pleasure for me. You know what they say, like, find a job that doesn't feel like a job and you'll never have to work a day in your life? Yes, exactly. The only thing that's work to me is writing the reports. I'm not going to lie. Some of you might notice the report takes a day or two to get to you after the clearing. I'll give you a guess why that happens. Because I don't like to sit there and go this. But I do it anyway because you guys are so worth it. But this clearing work, like, it would be my dream to have somebody do the reports for me so I could just spend my day doing the clearings instead. Because wow, it feels so good to do these clearings. It really does. Especially when I found there was one person I cleared the other day. And she messaged me back and she says, I feel so much better. Can you please check my friend? She said, because my friend got a healing from this healer not too long ago, and she's felt way worse ever since. And I checked, and the healer actually had imposter guides and all kinds of stuff going on. And so we sent, we did all the clearing work for the healer as well. And then we cleared some of the clients that were connected to the healer through the cords. And I have felt so lost throughout my life. I've had probably 50 different jobs throughout my entire life. Nothing compares to how good it feels to know you're truly helping people in ways they couldn't help themselves. Like volunteer work, I've been volunteering since I was probably 12 years old. I've had literally probably about 40 volunteer jobs, not including the other jobs I've had on top of things, like, all these other jobs, doing hypnosis and Reiki and all of these other things. And I got to tell you, nothing beats spirit release. Nothing beats this. It is so exciting. And I also think that, me being a bit of a daredevil, I joined the fire department at 16. I've always been a bit of a daredevil. So it's hard for me to actually stay. It's like monotony kills. Like I can't do the same thing every day. And so, with this work, you never, ever know what you're going to find. You really don't. When you tune into people or spaces, like last night, right? I had a friend who messaged me and said she needed me to check someone. It's a long story, but this woman was being harassed by a prison inmate. So I went to check the prison inmate, and the prison inmate was not sovereign at all. And so we cleared not only the prison inmate, we cleared around him. There were 42 earthbounds in that space around him, just in that one floor area where he was. And guess how many dark contracts we cleared from those 42 earthbound spirits that were in that prison? 42. Every single one of those earthbounds could not cross over because they had a dark contract. And I just, after thinking about it and considering how much there is to clear on this planet, like we could use all the help we can get down here. We really could. So for those of you who are, in Katie's class right now, for those of you who are waiting for the training to, for the in-person courses or for the, just the online training, I want to say thank you to everybody that is trying to get trained and involved in this work in whatever capacity that may be. It could be the clearing of the people or the places, or helping them with aftercare, helping them with trauma care, helping them with talk therapy. There's a broad spectrum of healing that occurs with this work. And I got to say, like, I am so, so grateful to not be the only one doing this work. I'm so grateful to have the backup, to have all of these wonderful mediums in training. And I just wanted to say that there's no words to express my gratitude for each and every one of you that are going to be following in my footsteps and in the footsteps of all the other people that I am learning from, because this work is the most important thing I think I've ever found. And I've been looking to make the most effect, to be able to do the most good on this planet. And this is the best way I've found so far. So to those of you who are, kind of greenhorns and all of this and are very excited to be doing this work, I got to tell you, there's nothing that beats this. There's nothing. Speaking from a daredevil aspect, speaking from an aspect of somebody who truly loves to help people, you get the best of both worlds with this work. You really do. And even though, you do end up dealing with some of the kickback from it, you deal with some of the psychic attacks and all of that, it's nothing compared to how much positive I'm just trying to think of the best way to put this. I'm just so grateful, because honestly, I can't begin to tell you how much this work changes the lives of the people around them and the ripple effects that occur from every single clearing. So it's wonderful. It really is. Luke says, why are there so many low vibration entities roaming everywhere? It doesn't seem very divine in nature. Well, Luke, you got to put it this way, right? Okay. Think about other parasites that exist on this planet, right? If you think about the ticks and the fleas and the mosquitoes and all the other things that exist on this planet, you know, we don't talk about eradicating mosquitoes. We don't talk about, finding a way to kill all fleas on Earth and to have a flealess planet. These are things that exist because they are just meant to exist, right? So it's not about getting rid of them. Because to be honest, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to. The point in all of this is making ourselves protected against all of these things to where the point where they don't even matter to us. We're like, whatever, like when you see a mosquito, do you freak out? No, you slap the bitch and move on, right? We don't dwell on the mosquito and think, oh my God, it bit me, you little bastard, and then start crying about the mosquito bite. You just think, oh, you little opportunistic shit, and then slap it and then you get it away. So that is the mentality that we are still working on, even when it comes to entities, because we'll never be rid of them all. They're going to be around, pretty much for eternity, because I hate to say it, this planet is going to be complicated for a very long time. And the way that time actually works, timelines work, you'd never be able to get rid of them all. So all you can really do is protect yourself and rise above it. So if you are, we don't fear tiny little ants and things because we've risen above that, right? And even though there's a lot of fear that can be based with things like wasp attacks, etc., but we know how to deal with them, right? The same thing has to be said for entities. You're never going to be able to get rid of them all. They're always going to be opportunistic in nature. So what do? We remove the opportunity. If you focus on prevention, you don't have to worry about all the shit all the time around you, right? You just slap on your tea tree oil and you go and do what you got to do. Same thing works for entities. So I know that it's very frustrating, especially because all of us, we just want to have, a planet that is clean and clear of all this bad juju. But at the same time, you got to remember that people come to this planet for that juju. People come here because they want to experience the duality. They want to experience all of the things that duality has to offer. And for that to happen, you're going to have a lot of people who keep reincarnating back into this low vibe stuff. Keep in mind that you guys could have chosen any point in history to be born. At any point, you could be living in 10th century China right now, or you could be living in Viking times in 700 AD. You could be living anywhere else but this time, and you chose this time, this body, this place. And the reason for that is because you guys are not with it anymore. You don't need all of the stuff from the past anymore. All of that religious drama, all of the pain and the suffering and the wars and all the bullshit that occurs when people's egos get overinflated, all of that, if people want that, they can reincarnate back into that at any time they want. You'll be able to reincarnate for any of these time periods. You can incarnate 10,000 years in the past, 10,000 years in the future, and then on and so forth. So really ask yourself why you chose to be incarnated at this very time in history. Despite all of the bullshit that's happening right now, I think the main reason many of us are here is because we are done with all of that crap. Because we're on the cusp of changing all of it. So if we are changing all of that, then technically, we are writing our own future. And some people still have another future to write where they go back into ancient times and deal with the duality aspect. And that's fine for them. That's what they want. But as you can tell, many of us are sick of that shit. And we want to move on past that. We want to be the ones that are in control of our own destiny and not have powerful beings that are hidden taking control of everything, making us all miserable for their own benefit. So anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent today. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss? I hope that makes you feel a little bit better, Luke, even though I realize, this planet, if people want the fluffy bunnies and rainbows and, all that happy juju, they have that in the high astral. You don't have to go anywhere in order to expand your consciousness. You can stay in the high astral. People choose to come down here for this experience. Julianne says, a very challenging time, but a lot of learning will be taken from it. Exactly. That's what we want. We're here for the learning. I still think of this place as a video game. Maybe it's the fact that I've been playing video games since I was 12, but I am pretty convinced that we're basically just living in a video game. Like all of this it's a holodeck, it's like being on the holodeck in Star Trek. None of this is technically real anyway. And you see that all the time from things, little glitches in the Matrix. Hope you feel better, Jordan. Keep in mind, hey, you bad dreams last night. Yeah, it sounds like you might need a clearing. Send me your info, Jordan, and I'll check you today if I get a chance. Anytime you guys are dealing with nightmares, make sure that you cleanse your space, smudge your home, call in your soul guides, call in Archangel Michael. Don't just take that shit laying down, literally or figuratively. If you have a bad dream, that's the first thing you do is you wake up and you go, oh, no, you don't. And you grab your giant doobie smudge or whatever you got as your tool and you cleanse the space. Make sure you also have a sea salt bath, get rid of some of that residual energies, because this is the most vulnerable moment of your entire day is when you're sleeping. Luke says, sure does, thanks. Just gets annoying opening up abilities to get bogged down so much and not enjoy the fruits without all the bullshit that comes with it. Oh, believe me, Luke, I feel you. Trust me, I throw a pity party for myself at least once a week for being stuck in the Matrix. So believe me, I know exactly how you feel. Anya says, anyone else feeling exhausted? I have not slept properly in 3 days. I started blaming the full moon, and Leia last night was like, it's full moon's not even started for 3 days. And I'm like, well, that's what it feels like. Just saying, like it does. It feels like very intense full moon energies right now. We have eclipses coming. We have that full moon. It was a full moon in Sag, I believe it is. There's going to be all kinds of craziness going on. My daughter thinks like that, Laura. How do we know if it's not a video game? She says it is a video game. I have nobody can convince me otherwise. This is after so much DMT, you realize that this is definitely a hologram, and there's no way that any of this is real. It may feel real. You can knock on stuff all you want. It may feel real, but it's technically not. None of this is real. You ever seen that episode of Rick and Morty where he plugs into the 3D Matrix, or is it he had like a lifetime as like a carpet salesman or something? Like that episode was freaking accurate. Let me tell you, crazy. Hi, Raquel. Nice to see you, darling. I think honestly, you guys, this is due to all these weird cosmic energies coming in. Because I don't normally take like weird midday naps. And for some reason, the last few days, like I did clearings yesterday, and within 10 minutes, I had to sleep. Within doing clearings, I could barely keep my eyes open during clearings. And then I laid down and I was out. And the next thing you know, it's 3 hours later. And I'm like, what planet am I on when I woke up? I was so ungrounded. Ooh, what's this comment? Did you hear about that show 0 Day? No, I've never heard of it. That's not the kind of shit I would watch anyway, I must say. A terrorist attack that leads to a blackout. Do you know how many of those? Anne Heche did one of those with chemtrails. There's so many of those movies, where they're basically. I honestly feel like it's like Illuminati porn. That's what they want. They love that stuff. You know they get off on that. It's probably their favorite movies is movies like that. Like that stupid one with the boat that they did that who was promoting a lot. Like they just love that shit. They really do. Chantal says, when you're angry with someone in real life after a dream, feeling lingers that there was this new man in my dreams. No one I've met before. Still felt it when I woke. As I do, cutting cords in the shower that morning actually felt like the cord popped. So strange. This is something that we're planning on discussing during the astral projection class. So many of you guys have been messaging me asking me to cover astral projection more in depth. So rather than do a psychic protection and astral projection class, the class this Sunday is all about astral projection. And one of the most important things that we discuss in this class, in my humble opinion anyway, in fact, I insisted that we put it in there, is all about interludes you may have in the astral. Okay. Because if you've had a sex dream, if you've met some kind of stranger in the astral and had some kind of a, a little hangout, a little intimate, a little intimate hangout session, you may notice that this felt very real. This felt very, and your memory might actually be surprisingly vivid for this. These occasions are very common and they can actually be a problem. Like astral rape is a thing. And obviously that's not what she dealt with. Otherwise, Chantal would have mentioned that. But it is very much a thing. And if you can remember meeting someone in the astral that you don't know, it could very well either be someone from a past life. It could be a twin flame or a soulmate, which we will be discussing as well, because we tend to, if you have a twin flame, people do tend to meet up with them in the astral quite a lot. But you do end up actually having entities that pose as people as well. And if you have sex in the astral, it can be just as emotionally jarring as it can be in the physical. In fact, it's probably one of the most unsettling dreams that I can remember is just having these things occur in the astral and not even knowing who the person is that you're meeting in the astral. So this is why, it is very important to take charge of those dreams, especially. And this is going to be something that is very important for us to discuss during the class, because you'd be surprised how common this is. This is why succubi exist. Succubi and incubi are sex demons, basically. Those are very real demons. In fact, they're one of the most common that I tend to find on people. No offense, but especially to men, I think, because a lot of them are picked up during watching porn. So if you watch porn, you are actually leaving yourself susceptible to these entity attachments. They come through when you are watching these things. So this is one of the reasons why astral sex is something that is very important to discuss, which is why we will be talking about it on Sunday. So for those of you who have not seen, let me know. Let's see. Oh, we've got a guy that needs to be banned. Bye-bye, Black. Nope. Creepy men in the comments get a bye-bye. As we're talking about sex demons, a creepy guy in the comments starts leaving freaky comments. Bye-bye. Delete. This is why we have to set boundaries, people. He proved my point. So thank you. They're always around, opportunistic. Yeah, succubi are female, incubi are male. How does Patrick know all about succubi? Patrick? You'd be surprised how common they are. They're very, very common. In fact, they are pretty much everywhere. And it was really funny. A couple of my friends, like I had a friend, what's one of my gaming buddies, messaged me, and he's always listening to me talk about work stuff, but he doesn't take any of it seriously until one day he messaged me and he's like, Laura, something's going freaky. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, I woke up in the middle of the day. I had a nap, right? He works very late in the night. He, drives taxi and stuff. So in the morning, he woke up to a cold hand wrapped around his member. And he thought it was his wife. Like he woke up going, woman, unhand me. And there was nobody there. So that really spooked him. And sure enough, I checked and there was a succubi attached to him, messing with his dream state. And I was like, have you been watching porn again? And he's like, maybe. And I was like, well, I just cleared a succubus from you. And he goes, oh. And he's like, is that what I think it is? And I told him. And he's like, well, and I said, do you want it? I said, I did clear her for you. She's gone. And he's like, oh, okay. He goes, well, she didn't have such cold hands. Maybe I wouldn't mind her sticking around. And I'm like, like people say a lot of things. They don't realize how much these things can de-evolve and get messy. We'll put it that way. So it may seem kind of thrilling at first to have this female that straddles you while you're sleeping and makes you have funny dreams. But let me tell you, you'd be surprised how much these things can fall apart on you. You will end up exhausted, waking up with all kinds of scratches and weird shit on you. But it was really funny, I must say, that he's like, well, if her hands weren't cold, I might not have had you clear her. And I was like, God. Be careful what you wish for, though. So yeah, anyway, let me find that class for you guys. Hang on a second. So yeah, if you guys are interested in joining us, there it will be my friend Tina and I. Tina has a wonderful like she's got 3 times the experience that I do with astral projection, which is why I'm asking Tina to come and help me teach this class. In fact, she's also the one that turned it into a really beautiful like webinar. She's got all these like slides and stuff to make it very entertaining for you guys. There's the sign up if you guys would like. It is this Sunday, March 16th at noon. There will be recordings and there will be what do you call it? Closed captions, translation, and all that. So if you guys are interested, feel free to sign up, and then you can join us on Sunday, and you'll be able to ask questions, etc. Thank you, Julianne. Any questions? Anything you guys want to discuss today? Oh yes, Friday. I know you guys have been asking for Lost Soul Rescue. There will be a Lost Soul Rescue this Friday. If you have taken my class, it's basically like a mediumship circle where we tune in to earthbounds and stuff. If you've been working on your mediumship skills and you would like to expand on them, you can do so on Friday at 12:30, I believe, my time. Let me double check on that. If you guys are interested in joining live for that, you can message me privately with your info. You need a WhatsApp. Just saying, the WhatsApp is how we communicate and how we send the links and everything. So this Friday, right after my chat with Angelica, I see you're asking where is the lady that channels Siddhartha? She'll be on Friday. Angelica is on the podcast Friday. So after the podcast on Friday is when we will do the next Lost Soul Rescue. Where can we post SRT stuff? All your pages reject it. You can post it in my Lost Soul Rescue group. In fact, I would really love it if you guys did, because my Lost Soul Rescue group is kind of turning out to be kind of depressing with all the posts people are putting up about dead people. So perhaps that would be another use for the Lost Soul Rescue group, for the Spirit Release and Lost Soul Rescue group that I have. Because that way we can have some more positivity in that group, because you did try? My apologies. If that's a rule that was mistaken, I will remove that. I don't mind you guys posting your testimonials or even your reports. If you want to post your reports in the Spirit Release group, that is wonderful. Charisse, can you just message me privately on the page with your number, darling? My emails right now are a bit of a mess. I have Tina helping me with my emails right now because I'm trying very hard to not miss a couple emails, but I've been getting, like, literally yesterday I got 26 emails. So it was really hard for me to kind of figure out the ones from before over the weekend as well. So wow, it's been a lot. You guys have got a lot going on right now. Please send healing to my falcon Basil. He's not feeling well. I'm sorry to hear that, Deanne. We'll send your falcon all the love. I'm sorry to hear that Basil's not well. Trying to think of what. Do you have a clear quartz? Clear quartz is one of the most powerful healing crystals. If you have a clear quartz that you can put by his cage, and then just send him some Reiki, hey? Animals love Reiki. I loved having Todd on the show recently. It made me wonder whether it's the Sasquatch who bends the matrix and sends the reassuring triple angel numbers, etc. There's so many galactic beings here that are involved in all of this. We're a big soup. Like, this planet is a zoo. So I'm just saying, like, there's so many different beings here that are involved in all of our matrix business. To be honest, I think that the Sasquatches kind of live outside the matrix. Because what's interesting, right? Where the Tegetans have said that the matrix is at its thickest and it's most pronounced in areas like cities. Cities are where the matrix is the most heavy and where it's densest, But if you were to go out to the jungle, if you were to go out to a desert, the further you get from all of the fakery, I should say, the more you get connected to nature, everything is alive. It's no longer matrix energy, right? And also if you go underground too, because apparently the matrix is basically a filter. Just keep that in mind, okay? It's like on TikTok, right? You get people that make themselves look like they're 20 and they're actually 50 something and it's not accurate. And then all of a sudden they turn their face and you can see that they're actually not who they say they are, that there's been a filter that has changed things. That is how the matrix works. Okay. So the matrix is not something that we all reside inside. It is something that is superimposed on top of the energy that already exists. All right. So it's basically a filter. It's a filter that hides entities and earthbounds. It's a filter that hides the things that we can see, like energetically. So there's a lot of things that you'd be surprised, like that will actually bleed through that matrix, but you don't realize they actually are. Like we have elementals in 3D. People are not aware of this. Seahorses and jellyfish are examples of aquatic elementals. They are elementals. It's just that we lock them into 3D with us. And so we just deem them animals. Like we have so much around us that we aren't aware of because of this filter. And so once that filter goes away, you'll be able to see all of these other layers to our reality that exist behind that veil, so to speak. So you'd be surprised how much these things are actually, part of our reality anyway. It's just that they're kind of hidden. And so when Sasquatches kind of disappear, I think that's what they do. They just raise their frequency and blink on the other side of that veil. So they're no longer seen. If that's whenever you see a UFO blink like that, they didn't just blink to another location. They just changed their frequency. So where it's no longer in your frame of reference, so to speak. I didn't realize how much it was basically a mediumship thing. I joined as a facilitator aspect, but I'm glad my guides help. Well, this is the thing, Keisha. You don't have to do it from a mediumship standpoint. If you want training as a facilitator, if you would like to see what it's like to kind of lead the group and be part of a, spirit release thing without doing the training yet, this is what it's for. So you're more than welcome. In fact, if somebody is interested in doing facilitator training, this is something that I'm more than willing to help you with. So yeah, you can actually use these lost soul rescues from a mediumship standpoint and a facilitator standpoint, because it allows you to, really embrace both. But just keep in mind that every great facilitator is also a medium. We're always tuning into stuff without even recognizing we're tuning into it. Oh, thank you, Ariana. You're so sweet. Is the Facebook Lost Soul group where we post on the feed to add names? So if you would like to add a name to the Lost Soul Rescue, you're more than welcome to. Just be aware that our list is probably about 3 months long. I've got close to 200 names on that list right now, of people that need checks for earthbounds. And my pro bono list for clearings is almost as long as that as well. So if there is someone that you would really, if you're really concerned about a loved one, a family member, the fastest and most effective way to get an earthbound check is just to book one with me on my website. But the main thing, and this is why I really am trying to get this more of a group aspect, is so that way we can do public clearings. Like it's the public spaces that need the most. That prison with the 42 earthbounds that had the 42 dark contracts, that was so important to do. It really was. So I'm trying to kind of push things away from doing individual cases unless it's a very high profile case. Like that young lady who was chopped up in little pieces and left in a freaking trash bag on the side of the road. When I saw that case, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I got so emotional from that case. I couldn't wait. Like I don't know what it was, but something about that case. I was like, nope, she's not waiting. I'm going to make sure she's okay. And she was okay, which was really interesting. That young lady that we checked, her name was Emily Pike. I know some of you are following that story. It's absolutely devastating. She ran away from a group home and was abducted. And 2 months later, they found her and dismembered. And it's absolutely devastating. But at the same time, this is the kind of work that we're doing. This is where we are needed most, is to check on people that have been through horrific stuff. And Emily's case was very special because Emily's been getting a lot of time in the media because of the sheer brutality of the case and how devastating it really was. And she's bringing awareness to missing Indigenous people all over the country right now, not just in America, but also in Canada, because this is such a this is a very common problem. They're dealing with this on a level that is completely unknown to most other communities. I mean, they have missing women that go missing all the time, literally all the time. Many of them are stolen and trafficked, but others are actually killed. And Emily is one of those people that was killed. It was a karmic situation, which is kind of crazy. She was in like a tit for tat situation with the person that took her life, to the point where they have killed each other in past lives. And in this lifetime, she was able to maintain her sovereignty. The guides told me that was part of the lesson in this lifetime, to rise above it, to not become part of the problem. And she did. She maintained her sovereignty. She maintained a high vibration. And the culprit that took her life, he will be caught. Like my guides were like, keep an eye on the news. He will be caught. But the most beautiful thing in that whole aspect is the fact that just on one of her posts, I've seen several of them, but just on one of her posts, there was 100,000 shares. 100,000 shares. So that sweet girl is raising so much awareness. And when I tuned in to her to see if she was okay, that she was crossed over, she was actually in a meeting with the High Council. She was not only crossed over, she was in the high astral meeting with a very important High Council. And they were, they actually were very grateful that I checked in. And they were like, wow, they were actually, I kind of like interrupted the council meeting. Like they're in this meeting in the high astral. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Is she okay? So they were like, yeah, she's fine. She's okay. Thank you very much for checking in on her. In fact, they were very grateful to me for checking in on her, which actually made me bawl my eyes out. I must say, I started crying after they told me that. But they told me that she chose this and this was part of her plan. And that way she could raise awareness for all the other Indigenous people that do not get this kind of traction in the media. How brutal her death was, it actually allowed more attention to be brought to her case. And I'm truly hoping that positive things will come from her tragedy. And I imagine that is also what Emily is hoping for. So yeah, they are, how many members of the council? I have no idea. I did not ask. I was kind of like, oops, sorry for interrupting, when I found out where she was and what she was doing. But like I said, the council was actually they were touched that I checked in on her, which was really nice. Cherie says, I don't see death anymore. It's like you come here to do a service and now you get retired from your service. That's kind of how I'm trying to look at it too, Cherise. I did a clearing on somebody the other day and they were very badly experimented on in Egypt. And I asked just after the clearing, I said, okay, is the medium okay? Yeah, the medium's fine. I'm like, all right, am I okay? And this old guy was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're not sovereign. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not sovereign? And he goes, from that last case, you got jarred emotionally. And I was like, yeah, and he goes, and because you got emotionally triggered, a level 1 came through. And I'm just removing it now. And I was like, Like, damn, it got me, because you get emotionally triggered sometimes by these cases. And I said something to him. I was like, well, how can I not be emotionally triggered? Because just for the record, this person was it's a long story and I don't want to get too graphic about it, but this person was dealing with experimentation in Egypt to the point where it was, okay, that scene in Men in Black with Edgar drinking the sugar water? Okay. She was an Edgar. We'll put it that way. She was a skin suit for an entity where they literally carved her out and let an entity move in. Literally carved her out and moved an entity in. And I didn't know they could do that. That is apparently how insane the experimentation was in Egypt. And hearing this, it blew my mind. And I was like, holy shit, we humans have been through some really awful stuff, right? So yeah, it was basically like an Edgar suit situation. And so I was a bit like, at first I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I was kind of like, can we send healing down that timeline? Like, damn. And they're like, yeah, we cleared the resonance. We're sending healing down the timeline, etc. And it was like the stitching was still there, like stitching here, stitching all the way down. Like she had been split in half and then restitched together. Right. And this person is dealing with massive psychosis in this lifetime, like dealing with some really heavy, awful shit. And when I found all this out, of course I got emotionally triggered. I almost started crying during the clearing. So that is why when Constantine found that level 1 on me and was like, you're getting emotionally triggered here. And I was like, how could I not be? And him, being galactic and is a bit more emotionally removed from the situation, was like, this was part of the plan. This was the agreement she made. This is the experience she chose. It may be absolutely horrific, but it's still the experience she chose. It's still what she wanted to go through for whatever reason. She consented to it. And I'm like, really? They really gave a shit about consent? Like, really? Because from what I hear, like, it doesn't really sound like consent when you grab a slave and start doing things to them like that. And they go, no, that was a prenatal contract. It was an agreement that was made before she was even born in ancient Egypt. And this person is still, so if you think about it, this person in this incarnation is still dealing with bullshit from a prenatal contract from 7,000+ years ago. So, of course, I got emotionally triggered because that's fucked up shit, right? But, of course, the guides were explaining. They actually helped calm me down a little bit. And they were like, no, this is part of the plan. This is how people have agreed to make contracts. They make these arrangements for these reasons. So they have these experiences. So I'm sorry to overshare a little bit, Karen. I know this is emotionally jarring for some people, but this is the reality of the planet we live on. There's some really dark things that happen here, and some of us are still reeling from that 7,000 years later. And, we were talking about poltergeists the other day. Poltergeists are experiments from ancient Egypt and ancient Atlantis that are still around. So we're dealing with stuff like we may be, in a time where things are very different from back then. But things haven't actually changed as much as you'd think. They're still doing experiments on us. I find people that are experimented on all the time by galactics. So Aaron's like, oh, what did I step into? Another rant. Going off on a rant again today. There's a lot of shit going down in the Matrix. So what would be the benefit for her from the experience? I would love to know that myself, Leanne. I really would. I really would love to know. But I'm sure there is some kind of a positive thing that comes out of it. There's always a silver lining with every situation. So that is kind of what I try to do nowadays, is to try and find that silver lining. It's hard to differentiate between what was planned and what wasn't. Exactly. Yep. This is why almost every time I do an earthbound check on somebody that has died tragically, that is one of the questions I ask. Was this part of their plan or was it not? And I would say about 60, 70% of the time it is part of their plan. Like I said, about 60%. I would not say 50 and I would not say 75. It's around in that ballpark. Because you'd be surprised how many of us are still kind of carrying around stuff from other lifetimes. And earthbounds as well, they're no different. In fact, many of them, even I found people that had contracts to be earthbounds. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And they're like, no, they had a prenatal contract to be stuck as an earthbound for a while. And I was like, why would they do that? And they said, because they wanted the experience of being an earthbound. They wanted to know what it's like. So I'm like, holy shit. Okay. Well, apparently this planet is where everybody goes to experience weird shit. Like, they needed some place in order for all of these souls that wanted to have some kind of a freaky thing to go have a place to go to have that experience. And even the Tagetans have used this. I shouldn't even say the Tagetans, really. It's the Galactic Federation that used this as their excuse for not coming down here and helping us. But they said that there was one time they pulled someone out of the trenches of World War I, where they just rocked up, they yanked and they basically yoinked the random soldier out of the trenches and saved him. And they were like, look, we saved you. And he was like, no, put me back. I want to go back in. This is what I came here to do. I came here to be in that trench. So you're denying me the experience that I chose. So according to the Galactic Federation, this is why they let us do all the things they do down here. So that way we can have that opportunity to have these experiences. But what about the other 40% of the time where it's not your choice? Where someone else's free will supersedes your own, even in your own circumstance? I have had this, I've found this on several earthbounds where they did not die the way they had planned. Somebody else took them out earlier. So I'm just saying, like, fate and destiny are two very different things. Destiny is what, the universe chooses for you. Fate is what you choose for yourself, in my opinion. And so the problem is that these things can get jumbled together, especially when entities are involved and other people's competing free will gets in the way of yours. So I like what Summer just said, though. Now it's time to create a different ending. The bad has happened. Bring on the opposite. Well, as they say, since we are all in this holographic reality and we can choose whatever version of the future we wish to experience, for those of you who no longer want to be stuck in the matrix, dealing with all the bullshit of paying taxes and dealing with all the 9 to 5 bullshit, well, perhaps we can manifest that together. But there's always going to be other timelines where the New World Order kicked off, where, where the Muggles want to go back and experience all these wars and trauma all over again so they can work out all of their baggage. All kinds of things. Did we not all agree to an Earth experience? Well, technically, Jay, now see, I have a very unique history considering I never actually chose to come to Earth. I was killed on Tiamat, which was close to Earth, and there wasn't another planet for me to go to that would offer the experiences that I had. So it's kind of like many of us, we chose the Earth, but because we really didn't have many other options. So there are a lot of Starseed veterans who have been stuck here for quite a while because of this artificial 3D matrix. So technically, it's like, yeah, we did choose it, but it's like, what option do you have? It's kind of like our politicians these days. Like, what option do we have, really, when all the politicians are owned by the same people? It's just to give us the illusion of choice. So I still feel that many of us are still dealing with that, the illusion of lack of choice. So this is one of the reasons why I have said that this is my last incarnation on Earth, because I am making that choice to leave after this. There's lots of other options out there. You don't have to be here on Earth. In fact, many of us, actually chose to be here. We were kind of victims of circumstance. But also keep in mind that there are other versions of Earth where the cataclysm never happened, where Atlantis was never destroyed, where Lemuria is still, where the flood never happened. There's timelines that exist where World War II, World War I never happened. There's timelines that exist where 9/11 never happened. You guys could have chosen to be in one of those timelines, but you didn't. You chose to be in this timeline at this moment. So it does make you kind of wonder why. What is so big and important about this timeline? And if you ask Dolores Cannon, she considered it to be born with a golden ticket. To not only to be born in this moment in this time, but to be awake in this moment in this time, to be self-aware in this moment at this time. So in order for that to occur, there was a lot of things that had to happen. A lot of your soul guides are exhausted. Your soul guides are like, oh my gosh, she's finally awake. But man, it took forever to get her here. Like, you don't believe how many times they probably tried to get my attention, and my stubborn ass was like, no. I used to block David Icke supporters and stuff. I would be like, nope, I don't want to hear about your weird alien shit. How many people out there that were like me that were just like, nope, don't want to hear it for so long. And my own guides literally had to pull me out of body and be like, look. They had to literally pull me out and be like, shake this bitch and be like, hey, you're not paying attention. So yes, as my wonderful colleague Tina says, a lot of dark nights of the souls had to happen. Yes, exactly. So no wonder so many of us have been going through roller coasters of chaos here on this planet, because we're constantly dipping our toes in the dark and the light, so to speak, especially down here with all this mix. We wanted a harder level so we get more lessons out of this incarnation. Exactly. That is another thing Dolores would constantly talk about. In fact, you know what was interesting? Dolores always said that there was a longer line of souls waiting for disabled bodies than healthy bodies. And I've thought about that for years. I think about that all the time, about how many of us, we chose these circumstances that we're in for this reason. So it's something that we can learn from and have that learning experience. Do you ever see the one argument where they said if everybody took their problems, right, wrote them down on a piece of paper and then threw them into a big pile together, everybody would be searching for their own problems because nobody would want the other person's problem. They'd be like, oh, no, throw that back in the pile. Open another one. Oh, God, no. And throw that back in the pile. Like, and then up until the point where you find your own problem and you're like, this doesn't seem as bad as it used to. Okay, I'll take this back now. Thank you. So you'd be surprised how many of us, we think we're learning the hard way, but it's actually a very important lesson that needed to be deeply ingrained. So what about Mars? Are there Mars souls from a past civilization? Mars was also technically destroyed in this timeline. There are a lot of beings that still live there, but Mars is basically Draco territory. Mars is completely incapacitated from the reptiles that live there, the matrigrays that live there, and there's also mantises that live there too, apparently. I'm not sure what alignment they are, the mantis ones, but there's, like I said, there's good and bad of all types. Even the Lizzies, there's lots of powerful, very positive Lizzies out there too, but they tend to stay away from humans because the other ones give them a bad rap. I wonder if there are other groups like this in other timelines. I have no doubt. How do we DM you, Laura, for a clearing? I'm not very technical. Clearings have to be done through my website, astrallara.com. I'll put it down in the link here. My current wait time for clearings is about 3 weeks, just for the record. Unless you book an emergency session with me. I am trying to do away with the emergencies, though. If once I get caught up, I can start delegating cases. This is why we need more mediums available, because I am planning to delegate cases. I get way too many bookings. Some days I get 10 bookings a day. And if they're family clearings, like that could be 40 people that I'm clearing. You know what I mean? So this is why I say I would love to be able to delegate cases where, if other mediums don't have any clients, I can be like, here you go, and give them some of my clients. And then people can give me feedback. And if they feel great, that's wonderful. If they feel nothing has changed, then I can go in with one of my other guides and make sure, like one of my more advanced guides, to make sure nothing is missed. So that is why I know many of you were concerned about being able to find clientele if you are doing spirit release work. I plan on assisting with that. I can't even promote right now. If you notice, I don't promote my spirit release right now. And that's because I feel bad enough making you guys wait 3 weeks for a clearing. So it will get to a point where we're fully caught up. And then when that occurs, we'll be able to promote more and also be able to delegate cases. I'll be able to give other people cases because that is the plan, Because it would be really nice if we could just send people to a website like Astara. As soon as they book a clearing, whoever is available that day, be like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm available. I can do this clearing. So it would be nice to get a clearing done within an hour or so. That is the ultimate goal. So this is why I say, and why at the very beginning of my podcast, I'm going to reiterate this again. I just want to say thank you to everybody that is considering spirit release training, everybody that is considering doing this work. And even if spirit release does seem to be a bit much for you, considering you don't really want to deal with the entities and stuff, lost soul rescue is a really powerful, important thing to also focus on. And we have a lot of stuff coming up with Astara over the next coming weeks. We're going to be offering mediumship circles and all kinds of things. So, Aaron is going to have a sweet chat about priestessing this divine moment in time when the podcast is over. I will promote that for you, my darling. There you go. Make sure that you guys, I'm going to go in about 2 minutes. So when I hop off, make sure that you guys go and hang out with Erin. She's going to go live and talk about all her wonderful priestessing stuff that she does. Love you, Erin. Erin is also going to be on Astara. We're going to be doing regular Ramara chats on Astara. There's going to be a whole lot of really wonderful, exciting new things that are coming up for Astara in the coming weeks. So Janet says Katie's 6-week course has been amazing. I have heard that by every person that I've sent to that class, Janet. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. Katie's a wonderful teacher, isn't she? She's phenomenal. She's so busy right now, though. I miss Katie. I haven't been able to do clearings with her because she's so busy with the course. So for those of you who are interested in signing up with Katie's next course in July, or even better, hanging out with us in person in Glastonbury in June, make sure that you hit Katie up as well on Confident Soul Katie. That's her website and her Facebook page. So for those of you who are also interested about mediumship, we are going to be offering mediumship circles on Astara as well as lost soul rescues. So for those of you who are really interested in mediumship but not chasing beasties, we have opportunities for both of you. Although I must say, chasing beasties is the highlight of my day. It's actually one thing I look forward to the most. So it's fun. I got to tell you, it really is. Going in there like astral SWAT. I love it. You'd be surprised too. It was really funny. The other day, there was like a Lizzie hiding under the car. He was like literally hanging underneath the car, looking like this. Like, are they gonna find me? Yeah, we did. We found it. So I just love it. Like, yes, we're cleaning out the space, chasing away all the beasties. So for those of you who are interested in joining us, please, please do. I would love to have you come and join us in Glastonbury and be able to do practice cases in person. And we can even clear some pubs and some other areas around town. I would love that. So we can do some little like field trip type clearings. Clear some spaces as well. So anyway, if you guys are interested in that, please feel free to message me and I can send you links, or you can message Katie at Confident Soul Katie. But yeah, I really look forward to the future. We have all kinds of exciting things in the works, and a lot of it does involve training. We're going to be teaching a Reiki course in a couple of weeks, right, Tina? Tina and I are going to be offering a Reiki 1 course where you'll be learning all about and getting your first attunement in Reiki. And it is a certification course, so I'll have some more info for you guys about that in a few weeks. But for the moment, I'm just going to share one more time. This is our class for this Sunday. There's the sign up. That will be this Sunday at noon. And we're going to be discussing all kinds of exciting things. In fact, here, I'll even go through it really quickly. We're going to be talking about interdimensional communication. So we're not only going to discuss how to astral project and give you guys tons and tons of tips and tricks on how to get out of body, but we're also going to discuss how to communicate with your soul guides, how to call in ascended masters and other higher dimensional beings, so you're less likely to run into the low vibe stuff when you're out of body. We're also going to discuss twin flames and soulmates, astral sex and the sacred connection, what to do when you're dealing with some of those situations in the astral. recognizing and avoiding imposter soul guides, identifying deceptive entities, and strengthening spiritual protection. So we will still cover a bit about spiritual protection, but not obviously like 2.5 hours like I would normally do with the other class. We're also going to be talking about mastering fear, sleep paralysis, fear awakenings, false awakenings. Also, we're going to discuss how plant medicines and prescription drugs can affect your astral projection. And we're going to talk about some of the herbs and things you can use, some of the crystals, all kinds of stuff. Julianne, the date in Glastonbury is for the summer solstice. That will be June. I believe it is the weekend of June 18th to the 21st or the 22nd. How big was Jesus's energy when you came across him? He came to us technically. We didn't just stumble across him. To be honest, I've only ever felt one entity's energy as powerful as his. I was in the presence of Mary Magdalene. Hers did feel like pretty on par with his. The only other person that I must say that had the similar energy was Ra. Ra's energy is also like insanely intense and powerful. It makes your whole body feel like it's tingling from head to toe. So very, very powerful energy. This is one of the reasons why you just know when it's him. If somebody, it's one thing to say, you know, when you come across an entity in the astral and they're like, "I'm Jesus," and you're like, "Okay, sure you are," because when you feel that energy coming in, there's no denying it. There's nothing that I could imagine that would be that powerful other than, I think honestly, the reason why he's so powerful is there's no filter between him and source. It's almost like he is source, just in a different body, if you know what I mean. So technically, yeah, I think that, you know how they talk about, you know, what is it? The Holy Spirit and all of those things and how they're interconnected. Basically like that. I have a feeling that he is basically has a direct line to source when you connect to him, which is one of the reasons why that energy is so powerful. So anyway, I love you all very much. I'm going to run and go and get some adulting done. And I hope you all have a wonderful, magical day. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Who's on the chat for tomorrow? Don't even remember. Who's coming on tomorrow? Let's see. Oh, Casca. We have Casca Graham. Tomorrow is a talk about dragons, you guys. We are having a dragon talk tomorrow. Casca has a wonderful group. It's all about dragons. And so Casca will be talking to us about dragons. So ironically, you get to talk with Aaron about dragons, and then you get to talk with Casca tomorrow about dragons. So that will be really, really fun. For those of you who love dragons, make sure you don't miss the chat for tomorrow. You'll be able to ask lots and lots of questions. I love you guys. Have a magical day, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye.